the mess is back, and there's a story going on about about Biden sending oil to China, and it shows that he's corrupt. Now, and this one's titled, "How the Oil Biden Sent to China Directly Benefited the Biden Crime Family." There it is. See that? There's the title. Now, I don't have to tell you guys that's a reach. However, I will say that the 950,000 barrels of oil from the strategic reserve were part of 5 million barrels that were sold on the open market. They have to be, because of the rules, purchased on the open market by anybody who will pay the highest price. Because if you're going to release oil from the strategic reserve, especially to foreign buyers, they have to pay the most for it. That's how you get it. It's basically like an auction. And unless they're paying top dollar, they don't get it. And in the case of 950,000 barrels of this, the Chinese paid the most. They were willing to pay top dollar for that part of it. Okay? Just so you know. That's how it works. It's not even close to weird. It's, again, the perfunctory part of selling oil out of the strategic reserves to lower the international price, just to boost, along with a bunch of other countries that they had coordinated with, the amount of oil that was coming out of the reserve, 50 million barrels over a period of time, in 5 million barrel increments. And in one of them, China bought 950,000 barrels. That's it. Yeah, 2,000 meals has made me hungry again as well. So I want to hear the basis for this. Not only how the law of the United States, which enforces the purchase of oil from whoever will pay the most for it, somehow was planned and executed by Biden to somehow benefit him financially, while his son no longer is involved in any way in even the businesses that did have the deals with China. Even when they were just investment deals that if they made a profit, they got 10% of the profit or whatever it was. And when we're part of the AUKUS agreement, and Japan's about to join that agreement, let's see how it benefits the Biden crime family. Also, it won't come as any surprise to anybody who regularly watches my show that I have 很多的中国的朋友. I've got a lot of Chinese friends. 他们都住在台湾. They all live in Taiwan for the most part. Although I do have a bunch of friends in mainland China. My best friends that I know the most are in Taiwan. And 我会说中文. 我去了北京很多次. So I've been to Beijing and Shanghai, Tianjin, Xinjiang, Chengdu, Hong Kong, Shanghai. I've been there, half a dozen times over the years. It's, multiple trips to the same big cities and then some small side cities. And this fucko knows nothing about China. Nothing. Not a thing. Nothing. And when people talk about the whole China eating our lunch deal and that they're going to be the Ray Dalio idiots, and one of these days soon I'm going to have to do a Ray Dalio video. He's an economist who has a lot of investments in China. He's very bullish on them. He has a hedge fund that favors China very much. So basically he just goes on all these like CNBC and Market Watch shows and Fox Business and talks and mostly podcasts now because he's turned out to be wrong so many times. They don't have him on anymore. And it tries to talk up China to boost his hedge fund that has a shit ton of investments over there that are collapsing. So it's the same story. It's just stupid. But I'm curious. How is oil sold on the open market to the highest, 4/5 of which was sold to a bunch of other countries, or like 3 other countries, but 1/5 of it was sold, less than 1/5, was sold to China, and that's that goes right into Biden's pocket. I'm curious, and it's 950,000 barrels. Let's hear it.
There is
oh God,
some commentary on social media about Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden.
Yeah, she's a doctor, I refer to her as Dr. Jill Biden almost as much as I refer to you as felon DaMess D'Souza.
Comparing Hispanics to tacos.
Chico!
I think it was breakfast burritos was the thing she was making. Was making a food reference to the difference between the foods that you have, but everybody's, you guys are like these foods and we're like these foods, and yet they're complementary, that kind of stuff. It was a ham-handed analogy, but obviously
Debbie's reacting here.
Oh, is she? I couldn't tell.
Just call me Taco.
Just call me Taco.
Taco salad these days.
Taco
salads these days. Well, that's because Dinesh gives her shit about her weight all the time.
The funny thing about this whole nonsense is that, yes, Mexicans do eat tacos.
Oh, this is gonna hurt.
But Venezuelans don't.
Okay. No. Debbie, citation needed. So Debbie won't eat a taco? She doesn't eat tacos? You mean as a national dish? So you're saying it's wrong to assume the dietary intake of a particular group of people while assuming the dietary intake of a bunch of people. Okay, gotcha.
There are no tacos in Venezuela.
There are no tacos in Venezuela. Okay, good to know. So I won't get my hopes up.
Burritos or enchiladas for that matter.
No burritos, no enchiladas. They don't serve Mexican food in Venezuela. It's war, basically.
Jill Biden doesn't know any of this.
Okay.
And this is the way that the left sort of looks at minorities.
They do, yeah. Uh-huh. They look at them as delicious. Basically, it's like a dog looking at you and seeing a pork chop.
They're cartoon characters and some...
Yeah. Jill Biden's a dog in an old Warner Brothers cartoon, and when she sees Debbie, she sees a sweaty pork chop.
Sombreros and playing mariachi music and eating a taco and voting Democratic.
Yeah, I mean, those are all culturally in line. Sure, I don't see it. Obviously, this is true of Democrats. Should we go through all the descriptions of migrants from the right, including they're rapists, they're murderers, and some of them, I assume, are good people?
But the bigger story here is not...
Oh, that's okay. All right, I thought that was the big story. I was confused.
And it's not even Hunter Biden. I mean, there's this new...
Oh, it's definitely not Hunter Biden.
Leak that's come out. Have you been seeing this stuff? Naked pictures of Hunter Biden.
Well, I saw that.
Well, she's seen him. Yeah, of course she's seen him, Dinesh. She saw him before you did. She's got a Google alert on her phone.
You showed me yesterday was hilarious.
I think you showed me yesterday. So you're showing your wife naked pictures of Hunter Biden. Okay, great. Okay. From 6 years ago? Yeah?
Oh yeah, this Hunter, I showed Debbie.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I mean, after you've been married for a while, it's hard to spice things up.
Debbie, a thing where a younger Joe Biden is talking about how dangerous it is to have cocaine, and simultaneously on the other side of the meme, you can see Hunter Biden lighting up.
Yeah, it is dangerous. He was, at that point, fearing for his own son. His son became an addict. He's not for it. He wasn't, if he was hypocritical, he would be saying that and then lighting up with his son or encouraging him to do it. None of which he did. You're a fucking lunatic.
There's a separate video of him and a hooker, and they're weighing the coke, and they're...
No, they're not. That's an edit. I stand by that call. There's one shot of him looking up like this, and then there's a shot of the thing, and there's an edit. I don't buy it. Sorry.
Arguing about what the weight is. She says it's 2.6, he says it's 2.7. They're arguing about this.
They're not arguing about this. You hear them discussing numbers.
So
He's the smartest man.
He's the smartest man Joe Biden has ever met. Yeah.
Well, for the record, he was right about the measurement, and she was wrong. I'm just saying. I'm not picking sides here.
The very guy who calls Joe Biden's wife
No.
all kinds of names.
Yeah,
Well, he's smart.
at
He knows
this
what he's
point-
talking
at
about.
this point, that woman deserves it.
Now,
By the way, Dinesh, you're sniffing a lot. I'm just saying. Should I read anything into that?
what I was thinking about is this whole Biden family is straight out of Goodfellas.
Nobody goes to jail, Karen. The whole Biden family is straight out of Goodfellas. Oh, you mean the criminality that's spoken about in the media about them is fictional?
Right, honey? Think about
Oh,
it.
yeah.
You got the corrupt and perverted mafia boss at the
Yes,
top.
yes.
That's
Senile,
Joe Biden.
senile.
Little senile. You
Corrupt and perverted. Explain.
got all the crooked siblings who are all part of the La Familia.
No, you don't. Bo was an AG and a good man by all measures. His daughter has no problems whatsoever. Hunter had an addiction, and he had a lot of money from the job that he had, and that led him astray in the exact same way, by the way, that Mike Lindell did. If you'll recall, many people believe that Mike Pillow was an addict who got his shit together and then started My Pillow. That's not true. He started My Pillow, got a lot of money, and then started doing massive amounts of drugs and almost capsized the company, and then got himself clean. Because the drug users he was hanging out with were like, if you go down, where are we going to get our food and money and stuff from? We basically live off you, dude. So they made him get help.
They're all being recruited.
Steve tells the story.
You've got the nasty scheming wives, including Jill Biden.
The nasty, scheming wives. Is there a tape of Jill Biden saying fuck Christmas that I'm not aware of?
You've got the coke-sniffing, sexually depraved offspring, and then
Yeah, but I mean, look, it's not Joe Biden's fault that he only has one son like that. I mean, Trump has a couple of two sons like that, but yeah, you know, this isn't a competition, Dinesh.
just hookers everywhere. Just like in Goodfellas.
Well, not everywhere, obviously. Hotels, maybe his home. He's and just like Goodfellas. No, you don't. Everybody know. You of all people, you were in jail. You had to have at least spoke to a couple of people.
So the whole scene is laid out.
The whole scene is laid out. That we're halfway through this video, and I still don't know how Chinese oil has benefited Joe Biden's criminal family.
But it's the corruption with the public purse that is probably the most distressing part of it.
The corruption with the public purse. Okay, now we're getting to it. Very excited. Let's hear it.
And there's a remarkable report. It's now in multiple sources, but you're not seeing it in the mainstream media. This is why you can't get
Multiple sources. Okay, so there's multiple sources. Name one.
news anymore. You can't
Please read or put it up on screen.
expect to get news if you just
Yeah, you can't get news from Fox News. They won't even have Dinesh on to talk about 2,000 meals,
get ABC,
which is what it's named now because of Mike Pillow.
CBS, NBC, New York Times. A lot of stuff going on you're not going to find out about. So
Yeah, that's true, but that's more of a bandwidth issue.
latest is that although Biden said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna help people with gas prices at the pump. How am I going to do that? I'm going to release oil from the strategic reserve." What little did we know
that
5 million barrels of oil from the strategic reserve were released and sent overseas.
yeah, they were sold on the open market. They were bought by overseas buyers. Some of it was to alleviate the pressure on Europe, but they can't direct it all at Europe. They can't legally say, we're selling this, but we're only selling it to NATO allies, for example. That's illegal. That would be considered manipulation of foreign governments. And though Trump wouldn't give a fuck, and this guy wouldn't know that, you can't do it. You could arguably tip them off. You could make sure that they know what date and what time ahead of time when you have face-to-face meetings. They're still being competition because as soon as it goes on sale, everybody knows, and everybody's going to trigger it. And most of the time, it's bought with at certain price points with bots at this point. But still,
So where'd they go? Some of
Where'd they go?
that oil went to India.
I hope you, of all people, Dinesh, aren't going to claim that Biden is in bed with India and India is somehow corrupt and a danger to America.
Some went to the Netherlands.
The Netherlands, now you're talking. Or like, as I like to call them, the nether regions. All right, I don't care.
And very interestingly, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute, a good chunk of it, about 1 million barrels, went to China.
950,000 barrels.
Now,
I already told you that. I know it's not about a million. It's 950,000 barrels.
why would Biden do that?
He didn't do that. The question was if they offered the most for it and he sold it to somebody else, the question for the taxpayer would be, why didn't he do that?
Ostensibly, the reason he's doing it is he's trying to help these other countries deal with the sanctions of not buying Russian oil.
No, this was about lowering the price of oil overall. So you're getting more oil into the market. This was not gifts directly to them. That's the natural gas part, dum-dum.
He's trying to say to India, listen, you don't need to buy Russian oil. We will sell you oil from the strategic reserve. But the Indians don't care. They're still buying Russian oil. And the Chinese are still buying Russian oil. The Chinese, in fact, are close in. They're buddies with Russia. In fact,
yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute.
as you know, Putin went over to China before all this started, basically to get the green light for the invasion of Ukraine. So the
Yeah, that's not why he went.
manifest
And they're not backing him. That's part of the problem with Kazakhstan. We talked about this before. Like we have to retread this bullshit every time.
stupidity of this should be obvious for all to see.
All right, well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. It's obvious. Maybe it's the simplest thing for anybody to understand. Maybe it's just that you're terrible at explaining it, Dinesh. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you're just too stupid to deliver the message. Maybe the message is pure. Maybe the reality is there. Maybe the crime is happening, but you are literally the worst witness ever. And maybe if you try shutting up because you're obviously not helping the crime be discovered, you're confusing the issue.
It's not just about stupidity,
Well, it couldn't possibly be.
because, as it turns out, there is a kind of corrupt economic motive.
A kind of corrupt economic motive. Let's hear it. Now, Biden has no control over who buys this, but let's hear it.
The 1 million barrels from the strategic reserve that went to China
950,000.
went to a Chinese state-controlled giant.
Yes, the company that bought them, by the way, is a Houston-based, Texas. A Houston-based Chinese-owned oil company that has its offices in Texas. I wonder who in the government from Texas could have tipped them off that this sale was coming and what the price point might be.
That is connected with Hunter Biden, and which is to say is connected
Right.
with the Biden crime family.
Okay, let's hear it.
So this is Unipec, UNIPEC. Unipec, by the way, continues to buy Russian oil, so they're not being deterred. The point of selling them this oil is not being achieved from a foreign policy objective. However, naive that objective.
By the way, the seller in this situation has zero control over the buyer.
But
Except for, I suppose, they can deny certain people the ability to buy it. I suppose Iran. I mean, you can't sell to certain countries like North Korea. That would be a better example. You can't sell to North Korea. So if North Korea had a shell company or was buying stuff through a shell company or whatever, and they discovered it, those people would be in trouble.
Hunter Biden is apparently a investor in Sinopec, a kind of cousin of Unipec.
Yeah, kind of cousin.
So let's see. We have Hunter.
Yes, explain it. We've got we're at 5 minutes in. You have a minute, Dinesh. Thrall us with your acumen.
Biden's firm, a private equity firm that was co-founded by Hunter Biden, buys a $1.7 billion stake in Sinopec Marketing. And Sinopec, by the way, has also bought Russian oil assets. So you basically got this...
One moment, please. Let's see. Whoops. Why is that not working? Oh, because I misspelled it. There you go. So this is, let's see if I can find where they got this from. Let's see. This, okay, so this is the Free Beacon. This is what he's referring. Let me see if I'll just go to the grass leak. Well, I can do both. Hold on. This is, here, I'll show you. This is I think the Washington Free Beacon. These are the same people that are going to, and awake. I'm floating in it. Okay, there he is. How Chinese companies linked to Hunter Biden could bail out Putin. This is a source for this. Hunter Biden is linked to 2 Chinese state oil companies, to buy stakes in a Russian energy firm that's been sanctioned over Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Sinopec and China National Petroleum Corporation are in discussions with Beijing to invest in Russian gas giant Gazprom. It's, by the way, not happening. Bloomberg reported Tuesday Biden has done business with both firms, which hope to take advantage of deep discounts in the company's shares in order to shore up their energy and commodity stockpiles. He may still hold an indirect investment. He may still hold an indirect investment in Sinopec. The connections highlight longstanding concerns that Biden's foreign entanglements help America's adversaries. Biden met in 2011 with the executive from China National Petroleum Corporation to discuss the potential purchase of an oil field in Africa. The Washington Free Beacon reported Biden met with the executive after he was told that the company had helped Iran, Sudan, and others evade U.S. sanctions. Biden is connected to Sinopec through BHR Partners, a private equity firm he co-founded in 2013. BHR bought a $1.7 billion stake in Sinopec Marketing in 2015. Biden at one point owned a 10% stake in BHR. At one point, owned a 10% stake in BHR Partners through his wholly owned firm, Scaniatels LLC. A lawyer for Biden told the New York Times in December that Biden no longer holds a stake in BHR or Scaniatels, but the Washington Examiner reported this week that Chinese business records still list Biden's firm as a BHR shareholder. And Washington, D.C. records still show Biden as the firm's owner, which doesn't operate anymore. The Examiner noted the Chinese database may not have been updated to remove it. Biden's attorney did not respond to a request for clarification from the Free Beacon. They'd already given you an answer. The Biden administration sanctioned Gazprom, blah, blah, blah. Beijing's also weighed a stake in Rusal. Okay, that's... Biden has worked on several other deals that would help China meet its energy goals. CEFC paid Biden at least $6 million to invest corporate energy. That fell apart in 14 months because in the alleged emails from the alleged laptop, from the alleged hard drive that it was allegedly purchased, there's a story within it where he's like, yeah, I can only do this if it's an American company. And they're like, well, it's not an American company. And he's like, well, then fuck you. So doesn't have a stake in BHR, doesn't have a stake in his old company that had the stake in the first place.
No Russian alliance, but the Biden family has a monetary stake in it.
No, they don't.
And so you have...
No, they don't. Again, you have all this screen space. I can put it up on screen. That's the Washington Free Beacon story. If anybody is going to push the most egregious form of this narrative and sell it harder than any other source that you'll find regularly besides some like Reddit thread, it's going to be the Washington Free Beacon. They're the ones that hired Fusion GPS and Christopher Steele to go after Donald Trump until he looked like he was going to win, and then they decided to back him.
Double motive here. On the one hand, Biden is supposedly trying to deter the Chinese from being so close to Russia.
This is not part of that. This is just sales on the open market to lower the overall global price of oil. We're doing it in coordination with a lot of other countries.
But he's also funneling money to a Chinese entity.
No, he is not. He has no control over who purchased that oil. None. It is wholly unlawful for them to deny these companies the ability to buy this stuff. They bought it because they paid the highest price for it.
That is connected to his own family. So again, under normal circumstances, this would be widely discussed in the media.
No, it wouldn't. This is a very normal circumstance.
The conflict of interest issue would be front and center.
There is none.
Seeing no reporting on this in any of the mainstream media outlets. The reason is quite simply that they are protecting their Goodfellas guy.
No. The reason is because the law states that the stuff goes on sale, and in the real world, outside of the internet, and in the world of like just commodities exchanges, everybody who actually is involved in that kind of business knows that's how it operates, and that they have the White House would have zero control over it. In the same way that we technically never buy Russian oil. The U.S. doesn't buy Russian oil and put it in the strategic oil reserves. We don't. Companies in the United States that like Exxon and Chevron and stuff have bought Russian oil, sell gas in other countries, but they don't buy it, bring it here, and pump it into American cars. These are multinational corporations. Ugh. Okay, he ends up, this is a 6-minute video, and it takes like the last minute of it is him just laying these thoughts out, and then just like it's like he just takes a crap in your living room and then walks out and goes, your living room is a toilet now. That's the depth of the argument. Thanks, DaMess. Glad you could be here.